Hey, Rob, you know what we're going to talk about today? Let's talk about all the geopolitical issues here
Yeah,
on the
let's
Car
do that.
Podcast.
Fantastic. Yes, yes, yes. So V8 engines and airplanes with bombs. Let's do both of those in one episode.
Just kidding. This is a car podcast. We'll stay in our lane.
Absolutely. And that is the left lane. Left lane is for crime. Oh, wait, I don't have that shirt yet. I'm kidding.
HQ will not send it till your attitude changes on a
Yeah.
few subjects.
Or at least at least I make a couple of stances on my Instagram stories. Then HQ might send me. Well, I told Nick before the show started because I was 13 minutes late thanks to Windows updates and Chrome at the same time. So I got both bangers at once.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Windows Vista with Rob is his new podcast. Check it out.
Listen, I worked at Best Buy when Vista launched. I know a lot about Windows Vista. Right? This was 15 years ago, but I remember.
Hey, let's stay in our lane. People aren't here for your geopolitic or tech information, please.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Buddy. All right, listen. I want to start off with this because it's one of my favorite topics of the week. Mercedes. 5 seconds before we hit record on this, there was a video dropping about air-cooled Porsches and hammers and stuff, so I want to get to that. I'm going to put that pin in your head so you have it. But Mercedes admitted their EV G-Class is a flop, Nick. Can you believe that?
Oh, no, that's crazy. I mean, who would have seen that this another expensive EV is a flop? And I know people who are listening to us think, you guys can't keep harping on that. But guys, corporations like Mercedes feel like they're telling you what you already don't know. If you don't see a bunch of electric G-Wagons rolling around, then it's not going well. And I've had to eat crow on it. I thought these would take off. I mean, I just thought, especially like in the Los Angeles, the suburbs here in Las Vegas where a lot of the rich people drive G-Wagons as dailies. They're always good for a Tesla or two in the driveway. I just kind of thought it was going to be a natural fit. And I think even the most affluent buyer, which would be the G-Wagon buyer usually, right, for a daily, is like, yeah, I don't really want that. I'm buying a G-Wagon because it's a G-Wagon. And I think that's what I probably guessed wrong on, is that and I've had customers talk to me about the electric G-Wagon, and they're like, I don't know, I'd just rather buy my G63. I like how it sounds. The gas doesn't bother me. I don't care. And there comes a point in time where you just got to say it doesn't work. But I'm telling you, Mercedes thinks they're telling you something. You're like, can you believe this didn't work? It's like, yeah, I mean, I can believe it, bud. I've looked at the numbers across the 52 companies that none of them work.
So I got an article here. Mercedes-Benz admits its G-Class EV is a complete flop from the report. And funny enough, I didn't see, or I didn't know the stark contrast in the price. So the AMG 63, which costs around $365,000, where it starts before road costs, they put on here. The electric version, it starts around $249 in Australia, and this is kind of where they're kind of highlighting the sales of this. In person, honestly, I've seen one, and it was in this park called the Domain of North Austin. I've seen one in real life. I don't know about
you. I'm at a handful myself. I mean, they're just not. They did the right thing designing this to look like a G-Wagon. They did a right thing. I think we have to applaud that they didn't make this some like monstrosity of an electric design G-Wagon. Mm-hmm. We've highlighted that before, but I'm telling you, there's a price that EV does not connect with people, and that price seems to be anything in the six figures.
Anything
that hits 100,000 and above, buyers are like, I'm good. And we're talking about people with the money to buy it, right? So it's just the way it is.
According to the German publication, Mercedes-Benz is now considering launching the upcoming Little G, which, what a name, a smaller version of the SUV, similar boxy style with a petrol engine instead of offering its exclusive electric power, launching in 2027. So do you think? I think that's a great move. I think you've talked about it plenty with BMW and their smaller models of like their M type SUVs.
Yeah, I mean, look, X1, X2, X3, those all sell a ton. There's no doubt that they need, a baby G-Wagon, which I think, look, if they call it baby G, I think that's going to work. Now, I have a daughter we call baby G, but, which would be a little weird. But at the end of the day, they need to downsize this for the people that don't want a full G-Wagon. The crazy thing about G-Wagons is they're not that spacious to begin with.
Right.
So even when they go down, you're like, okay, well, it's kind of like Macan to me.
Mm-hmm.
You get in a Macan, you go, this is a bit smaller than, and that's what I say about X1, X2, X3 is just like, I get a little claustrophobic in those smaller SUVs, and I go, well, why wouldn't I just buy a sedan?
Right.
You know, but I get why people buy them. It's just what they like. But I think when you look at this, there's a lot of things they can do with the G platform. They felt the need to make an EV. It's been a flop. I think their smaller G-Wagon has to have a gas engine in it. I mean, it has to be an ICE engine. If they have an EV of that and they can keep it somehow under 100 grand, maybe they'd have it, but they're not going to do that to the G-Wagon brand, I don't think. I don't think they're going to have something below $100,000.
What's funny is that everything you just said I agree with. When you do get into these smaller SUVs, it's almost like you're buying like a roadster or a coupe car for yourself. Even though you're in an SUV, you're like, if I have anybody else in this SUV, I'm going to freak out. I'm just going to become claustrophobic.
Yeah, because it's real tight.
Yeah.
It's real tight. I always say, Macan is not made, X1, X2, same thing. It's not made for two men to sit in the front seat together. That's what it feels like to me.
You're too close. Your elbows.
Yeah, you're like, hey, man, we're all going. You live by me. We're going to jiu-jitsu. Like, dude, why are we touching in my car? You know, it's like it's just too close.
Yeah, bro. I want you to have a brain fart and just put your hand on my lap. I'm not gonna fly. I know it's Pride Month and all, but come on.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to see. They have a lot of leeway with G. I mean, look, anybody who's like a G-Wagon aficionado, why don't we just go G-Wagon Cabriolet? Bring it back. Let's put the top down.
Dude, might as well. Well, then we'll bring that back. Bring the Nissan Murano cab is back.
Buddy, the Land Rover Evoque cab. I mean, for people that don't know, a big joke inside of a lot of my friends and especially people in our community at HyperClean, I am fascinated the Nissan Murano convertible ever got made.
You liked it though, didn't you? Come on, be honest.
Of course. I was like, I mean, if I'm going to get a Murano, I might as well put the top down and let my hair blow. I mean, come on. So but I do think a G-Wagon Cabriolet, which if you're not a G-Wagon aficionado, there was a Cabriolet at one point, would be awesome. They have so many cool things they can do with G-Wagon, I guess is my point. And I'm just kind of, going back through the Rolodex of, they should do this. Hey, put a soft top on it. Hey, do this.
Dude, anytime that I see a manufacturer saying, yeah, we're bringing combustion back, essentially, I'm like, bravo. Bravo to them. Bravo to the listeners of this podcast. And it also reminds me that if you're a new listener, this show was almost called Combustion for about 5 seconds.
Yeah, with bust real big because Rob wanted like Big Johnson t-shirts to come back.
I was like, Nick, what about combustion? And then I gave him the spiel, and he kind of looked at me
that was like your best Brendan Schaub moment right there when we were naming the podcast.
It's true. I sent him the video.
The fighter and the kid.
Yep, from like 7 or 8 years ago, and he's like, it was funny then, still kind of funny now, but I don't think it's what we're going with.
Yeah.
So shout out to everybody who's listening from the beginning of the podcast. So Mercedes, bravo to them. But back to the video that just posted as we started recording this. There was a listener that the first comment, like 5 seconds into the video, I jotted it down here, and I felt like it was a good way to blend some of the other interests that you have on the show, which is watches and cars.
Yep.
And the comment was, as soon as I can find it here, I have so many good stories to get to that I hope we can crush it into an hour. Wave Crashin' 63. Same thing could be said for watches. Hindsight is a lovely thing. So we were talking about air-cooled Porsches, how you can't really see what's going to pop, and people that do, you just, you know what I mean? So how do you value these watch markets? Kind of like you look at cars.
It's the watch market is, again, luxury goods follow asset prices, right? So stock market's up, watches are way up, right? Stock market's up, air-cooled Porsches are way up. Muscle cars are up. This car's up. That car, whatever pops at the time. So, what's happened in the watch world, first of all, a lot of people don't realize that there's very few watch brands where they're like, oh, I got a Rolex and, I got it when it just came out. It's like, yeah, it's not a limited production thing. I mean, I know you think it is, but there's a real argument, and I've heard really smart watch people say this, is that there's a very distinct difference between luxury and limited, right? And people in the watch world like to think, well, I went to my, authorized dealer of Rolex and I get my, right when they come out, it's like, okay. I mean, that's cool for you. I mean, it doesn't mean much. I mean, it's not a limited production item usually. They're going to end up making hundreds and thousands of these types of watches. Like, it's not limited. It's just a luxury piece. It's not a limited luxury piece. So it's not as like big a deal as everybody thinks. And there's a big thing in the watch world where people get real, well, I guess I'm going to have to go to the gray market. And it's like, who cares? If you get the watch,
Right.
who cares where you get it from?
Dude. How many people do you get that like try to present to you something that was supposed to be really cool, rare, limited, and then your lack of being impressed by it, it kind of like bums them out?
I mean, I think we all have that, don't we? I mean, especially the more you get to know the stuff that you're
into.
I get this mostly in the car world, right? I mean, this is on a daily basis, and we made the joke about, well, I got this limited Silverado. It's like, no, you don't. It doesn't exist. Oh, I got a Batman Rolex, and I got it from my authorized. So what? I can go buy it on the gray market too. Like, it's not. It's all of this stuff that doesn't matter. And if I can get my hand on the good, it's not that limited. I'm not getting my hands on an F40 real easily. That is limited. Now, even if they make a lot of them, the point is when I'm trying to buy it, there's not a lot for sale. Mm-hmm. Okay. I would have to go to a private collection and say, hey, are you guys looking to sell? I mean, it's not like you go to every car auction and there's 10 F40s for sale. Okay. But there might be 10 Hammers for sale.
Right.
And you go, okay, well, that's not, something that's all that limited in the moment. It could get limited 20 years from now when there's not very many good ones around, but it's not super hard to get your hands on one at this moment. But the watch thing, I like to say that when I bought my first Rolex, I thought it meant something. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, first of all, the watch doesn't fit me the best. Like, I have watches, like I'm wearing an old school G-Shock right now. Fits me way better than my Rolex, and I've tried to make it. Just doesn't look right on my wrist. Okay, it's really cool to own them. They're usually pretty. You're going to probably get your money back, if not make some money long term. So, is it an investment strategy? No, it's just like a parking of money. And I think it's great that people are into stuff like cars and watches, and I celebrate all that. But you got to realize that a lot of the stuff that people think is really important on the internet is just corny behavior. Like, it's, my authorized dealer. Nobody cares. If I can get my hands on the watch, I don't care where I get it from. If I got the box, the papers, all the stuff, I buy it. Most of the time, I can get a pretty good deal on it. And I'll tell you where you get the deals on watches. If you know somebody who gets in a financial pinch and is like, hey, I need to sell a couple watches, that's way better than paying full price of an authorized dealer, especially if you get all the documentation with it.
You always got to keep your eyes and ears open for those kind of opportunities. Like, you hate to say,
dude, 100%.
You hate to see a buddy or an acquaintance of an acquaintance go through something, but at the same time, you're like, look, if I'm going to buy it anyway, I'm going to go ahead and help both of us out.
Yeah, and by the way, my biggest car wins have been that. Somebody gets in a financial pinch, needs to liquidate a car, 2 or 5 or whatever, and you go, okay. I mean, I had a deal that was 5 pretty nondescript cars, but I had a customer that wanted them. What we paid for the 5 cars was worth its weight in gold. Like, nice. We didn't pay anything. And he was already above water from the get-go. And cars that you really shouldn't be above water. They weren't special cars, which is why I won't even list them off because they don't mean anything. But when you look at this and you have a real discussion, get your hands on it. As long as I can get my hands on it, I don't care where it happens. So he's exactly right. Hindsight's always 20/20 on what's going to pop. And people like to sound smart in the moment, but they weren't smart just 6 months ago, smart enough to buy the car that popped 6 months ago. So I just think people need to realize, like, what we're trying to interject into this conversation is stop letting people trick you that they are smart after the fact. Because if they were truly smart, they'd have had 100 of them because they could have bought them. And they just don't. And that was the whole point.
The joke's on us. They all did buy 100 of them. They're stacking up on like cash, and they just don't let anybody know, right?
Sure they are. Sure they are.
Look, last week we dropped the episode last Monday. The titles of our show usually have a little bit of everything that we talk about, but the first sentence or the first couple of words was, the Hemi is so back. And that very same day or the night before on Ram's official IG, they dropped the announcement video that the Hemi's back in the Ram trucks. I want to get your thoughts on this.
When you sent it to me, I go, wow, the fact that they did everything we said in that episode they should do. And for people that don't know, they did it after we recorded.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, what is that guy's? Is it Tim Kukanis or something like that? Look, this guy is obviously very, very smart.
Yeah.
This is what changes a brand. So when people throw out the word leadership, they don't largely understand what they're saying. They're just using some buzzword from some guy, some entrepreneur bro they listen to on the internet. This is leadership. Leadership is this guy's like, he knows what he's doing. He knows what his customers want. He's going to fight the system to get what his customers want. And that's what he does. And I will tell you this, less than probably 5% of executives in the automotive business are this guy.
Yeah.
That's why you see so much struggling, because this guy is that rare. To me, the things I've seen, the things he did before he left, coming back and now re-energizing the brand, which almost seems like, in his first 90, 180 days, he's going to re-energize this brand and get back to his customer base. I think it's fantastic. They obviously brought the boys back that we told them to bring back, because that thing got a Hemi in it. And he hit all the high notes. And sometimes this is what we want to get across to people. Common sense is really not that common anymore, because he's just doing all the common sense things anybody running that brand should have been doing. And he deserves credit for that.
Oh yeah, all the credit. And if he can turn it around for his consumer base, because everybody's a loyalist to whoever they like. I get it, but the amount of people who would be dying to see an actual, like, we're bringing back the Hemi now, but we're bringing it back for good, and we're also going to make new iterations, and we're going to evolve this brand and this lineage of cars and motors and everything. This guy's going to be. They're going to be yelling for this guy to run for president in the future if he actually turns this brand around.
Well, the real question that Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram need to ask themselves is, how do we get him to turn this around and then put him in charge of everything?
Yeah,
That's
they're already.
That really needs to be the whole plan here. Is let him get Ram turned around, let him get Dodge Ram turned, let him get that energized. How do we get him in charge? I mean, could you put him in charge of Stellantis fast enough?
Dude, we have some more stories about Stellantis and some of those brands, which we've talked about in previous months. But before we do, I got to say, well, I guess this is a good part to say it. If you're new to the show, welcome to the #1 fastest growing automotive culture related podcast in the world. Talk about car markets, trends, predictions, as we've done today. But more importantly, we give you a good hang every single Monday, and we drop about 100 videos a month across all social platforms. So give it a like somewhere. And to the millions of people that have watched these videos for over 6 months now, or right around 6 months, this is a big applause to you. I think that what we've done, and through your viewership and sharing of everything, is that we've made a change like this. In my mind, we've made a change like this incrementally happen in the direction that the enthusiast wants. So, with that said, wherever you watch this, like and subscribe, maybe leave a comment and engage with us. I think the more that we do that, the more that we can shift, in my mind, the lineage of all these car brands in the direction that I think it should go, which is make shit that we want to buy. If you're going to charge us a starter price of a home, just make the stuff we want to drive anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If it's the same price as a mobile home, let's go ahead and just,
Dude, even the price of those are out of control these days.
I hear you. You can't even live in a trailer park anymore for a reasonable price. This ain't not my America.
Hell no. People got vans now by the lakes and ponds. I shit you not. But I got another one for you here that I keep getting in the DMs a lot, and I don't know if you want to chat about it yet because you got some things in the works, but this is the message I get. Can you guys talk more about the LX? That's it. That's just it. And I know there's some things in the works, so I don't know if you want to chat about it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, just, and anybody that's a car person knows you don't want to jinx yourself. This is probably the most enjoyable, affordable purchase I've made in the car world in a very long time, where it's just like,
big words.
It does what you want. It's not some kind of like, it's not a speed thing. It's just like you get in it, you feel comfortable riding in it. It's put together well. I know I'm speaking to the choir here of many people that own, 100 series Land Cruisers or 200 series Land Cruisers or any LX of the last, let's say from the year, 2000 to the year 2015, 2016, 2018, something in there. But I think we are trying to put together, because I know there's so many questions about these platforms and there's so much bad work being done on these vehicles. Like, guys, everyone can do what they want to their vehicle. I'm not judging that. It's your car. Do what you want. Boy, oh boy, do people do some really terrible work on this stuff.
To be nice.
We want to, and it just takes time to find the right companies. And also, I'm able to share this with everybody. We want these companies to come and tell their story to you guys. One of the things that's happening in car culture is somebody goes and gets a set of wheels as an influencer, and then the wheel company doesn't take you through construction. They don't take you through, and I think a lot of you guys are clamoring for, why should I buy this wheel from that company? Now,
Right.
unfortunately, the story for a lot of those companies is we went to this random place in Shanghai and bought a $50 wheel, and now we've marked it up. I get that, but there is more to it for a lot of these brands, and I think the good brands, especially in this like overland, I'd even say in the sports car world, we're seeing it too. They got to start telling a story. They got to start telling us why we should be in business with them, because everything's so expensive. The only way I'm going to spend my money now is like, do I know what you guys are doing and what you guys stand for and the quality? So we're trying to bring these brands in that have a mind for quality, but also see the vision of, dude, I want you to tell our audience why they should be using your stuff, not me buying it, putting it on, and going, yeah, this stuff sucks. I should have known better. Because let me tell you something, that would be the true thing that would happen if I bought 4 different bumpers from 4 different companies. 3 of the 4 are going to be junk. That's just going to happen. If you've done enough modifications to cars, many of you know that. I don't want to be put in a position where I go, Rob, we got to like run this video and this bumper sucks, and now we got to say it. Because what does that really accomplish for you guys that want to do it the right way anyway? Right? Like, all it says is it's like leaving a Yelp review. What have you really done? You haven't really done anything, right? Like,
Right.
so we do want to get to know the companies, because we may have a thing where we allow one of our listeners to buy it when we're done with it. We don't know what we're going to do. And that's sort of the other problem, guys. You got to realize I'm kind of just enjoying a vehicle I've always wanted to own.
Yeah.
And so before I go and start taking a hatchet to it and modifying, it's like, it's been kind of nice just driving this thing and enjoying it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we get a lot too in the DMs is people asking for suggestions, not just on the LX, but on other cars, as far as like, hey, where would you guys like? And I have a question exactly teed up about this for Raptors, but it doesn't matter if it's Raptor, if it's Toyota, or whatever. People want to buy from a company that they can kind of, in a way, not bond with, but in a sense, like
Believe
just
in.
like you just said, believe in is a good way to put it. Yeah, like if you're getting a lot of reps out there, meaning like representatives, and you have a lot of collaborations, but it's only as A to B as it could possibly be. Like, hey, the influencer got the thing, and then they made a video about it, and then off to the next thing. Most Americans and most enthusiasts in America, especially that I've gotten in the messages and emails, they need a little bit more depth, just a little bit. We don't need the whole life story of everybody in the company, but a little bit more about what you're doing like today in the market.
Yeah, and I think it's a great thing to kind of talk about, which is, I think there's a little bit of fatigue around all of these soulless brands selling all of this stuff in the car industry. And by the way, this is going on. I mean, look, we could say this about our buddy Jeff. I mean, you go to Amazon, it's pretty soulless, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know who you're buying from unless you really dig into it. And I think there's a lot of us, especially around our cars, that are just kind of sick of the soulless nature of car parts, car companies. I mean, like in the BMW world, you have something like Dynan, who has this history with Steve Dynan, and you knew what it stood for, and then he sells it, which he should. He got a pretty penny, and you go, well, Dynan's not the same anymore. Now it could be the same, it could still be high quality, but you go, there's a soulless nature to it, and I think many of us feel like, I'm tired of just clicking things on the internet and not knowing the story. So part of the thing we're battling here is we are trying to bring in brands that want to explain to you, the person watching it, why you should work with them. But I'm certain that we're going to talk to some brands, which we probably already have, where I go, Rob, these ain't our guys. Like,
Yeah, right.
there's something not here. And we need to do that vetting. And I know that a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of car content is about volume. And so a lot of guys just slap parts on and make you believe they're nice, but you see the car in person. The SEMA's classic for this. I've been going to SEMA for 15 years. You guys see SEMA builds on the internet, and you're like, oh, look at all the great work. You see them in person, you go, oh, God. Like, I can't believe this. Who passed this? Like, who thought this was good? So even, maybe it's just jaded. I think some of you out there are probably jaded too. Like, but if you went to SEMA one year and you saw SEMA online versus SEMA in person, you'd be like, yeah, this is this is not good.
And that's kind of what listeners are running into with even the forums. And this is where the next question is going to tee up from, is that people are going in deep into the forums. And you've actually been there yourself recently with the LX.
Yeah.
We want to do that with the podcast, but we haven't quite figured out how to do it because, to take you off of any of your favorite platforms right now, whether it's social or the forums or Reddit, even for some of you,
Sure.
and then bring you somewhere else. Like, we want to be able to tie into companies that are going to be able to provide you what you want. If it's not the actual product, at least the information of where to go find the product you're looking for, or the other people in the community of this, Clutch Culture podcast kind of world to guide you, or at least give you the advice of a DIY or whatever. Because that was so funny, man. Over the weekend, just for whatever random reason, it was like, hey, I've been deep in the forums of this car or that car, and I just can't find anything. You guys got any tips? You guys got any advice? And
Sure.
you kind of ran into that yourself.
Yeah, no, and I think people, it's like we're going to find out. We already have, it's on the schedule for July. We're going to be redoing the sound system in the LX, which is a very hot topic amongst the people that own this car, because the sound system kind of fails. The speakers break apart. They weren't manufactured really well. And then you talk to an expert and they're like, yeah, don't do aftermarket. It's going to sound worse, or you're going to be, $10,000 into making it sound good. But then you go into forums and they're like, yeah, just get this thing off Amazon and plug it in and everything will be good and this and that. And then the guy two posts down goes, well, I did that and it blew my fuse. And you go, as great as the forum, as great as all this stuff is that we all can communicate and try to help each other, one of the things being in the car business the last 25 years, I will say, there's probably, even in the professional market, less than 10% I would listen to. Now, take that to the general market of people that don't do this for a living. You're talking about a very small percentage of people that do things on a high quality level. And like I said, it's their vehicle. What they do to their vehicle is their choice. But when you're on the forum, you also need to think to yourself, what's this person's qualifications to be giving me this piece of advice? And that gets to the really dark thing that I can see through when I go to forums and go, okay, well, let me call this guy. He really knows what he's talking about. He's like, no, don't do that. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? So it's like, because guys don't have those connections, we do try to share, like, guys, you don't need to be scared about doing things to your car, okay, or your SUV or your LX. But you also need to realize doing things to a high level is a very small percentage of people, even in the professional market, that are going to do it to the high level. So amongst the guys doing it in their garage themselves, that's a less than 1% of 1% are probably doing it the way you have in your mind that you actually want your car to come out.
So I don't know if you know the answer to this, or if any listener wants to write in. Somebody sent me a video that had a lot of views and shares on it, and I forgot to save it, and I forgot who sent it to me. Sorry, but it was a new GX550, and it had the Mark Levinson system in it, right?
Yep.
And when they were taking the panels apart, because they were wrapping the car, I think it was. But there's two parts for speakers, and only one part had a little speaker, and the part at the bottom of the door that was cut out and everything for the speaker had nothing there. It was just a piece of plastic.
Yeah. And I haven't researched, and I saw that video.
Okay.
I didn't dive deep into the new 550 to go what happened, but I can tell you this. A lot of sound guys really swear by the Mark Levinson system, at least guys I respect. They go, hey, it is well engineered, this and that. I don't know whether we ever got to the bottom. Is that everyone? Did somebody just forget at the factory? I don't know any of that. If you guys know that out there, I mean, feel free to DM or email us, because I'd like to know. I just haven't. We are looking for a GX550 right now. Potentially for the customer I told you, or my buddy, I shouldn't say customer, whose wife didn't really enjoy the 4Runner, didn't really, it wasn't her dream car that she thought it was going to be. So, but dude, you can't find GX550s. I mean, it's becoming, because again, I think the reason is not only limited production and them not being up to speed of getting a bunch of them out, which I think is an argument, but also it's people driving these Toyota products that are $73,000, and they're like, well, damn, I'll just make the step up. Because I got a text, Brian, a buddy of mine, he'll be listening to this. He's looking for a new Toyota truck for his business, and he sent me a picture of a Toyota Tacoma, $73,000, $73,000. I mean, again, if that's what you want, great, but that seems like a lot for a Tacoma.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he told you what he was deciding to do, but like when you're looking at it and that's what you're met with, like what does he do? You think?
No, because it's for work. He's just going to get a Tundra, like an SR5 Tundra, maybe do a couple upgrades to it,
Gotcha.
Things like that. But he has the same story that I've now heard twice in a few weeks. One's on the West Coast, one's on the East Coast, not the same dealer network. two separate Toyota dealers that my friends say right to the salesman, like, what the hell's going on? And the salesman chuckles and shrugs and goes, people are buying them. I don't know why. I mean, it's the same story.
Huh.
The salesmen are like, I mean, you don't have to buy it. Someone's going to buy it. Like, I don't know, man. I wouldn't pay that. And you know, you get to the end of this and you go, yeah, that's why GX550 is number one. I think it looks a little better. It comes out of the factory looking a little bit better than most other Toyota products. Just the way the body lines are, some wheel packages that are available, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. But also, man, when you start talking about 70 grand, people are going to open their eyes and go to a more luxury brand, I think. And I just think that's what's happening.
So we'll have more to come on the LX for those asking about it. I just wanted to touch on it because it's been a while. Funny enough, when we first started talking about it, we'd cover it regularly. And then listeners were like, or not listen, I should say like two people were like, hey, we've heard enough about the LX. I was like, Jesus, man, we can't please everybody. You know?
Yeah. And now it's like everybody's like, why aren't you talking about the LX more? Yeah. Look, man, we do want to do some cool LX stuff. So for everybody that is trying to pay attention to that, like we have some things in the works.
That's the internet in a nutshell, though, if we're being honest. Hey,
sure.
Stop talking about this. Hey, talk more about this.
100%. 100%.
So Nick here was writing about his Raptor and just really wanted some tips because he was one of the people that was in the forums kind of like didn't know what to do. And I don't know if you necessarily have any, but winches in general, I don't know if we want to give any shout outs to any companies or if you've used one personally, but that's kind of where he's at right now, amongst other things that he's working on. And that's why I like the thought of the community is more and more on the mind of how do we get everybody together, because I'm sure people have built newer and older Raptors. You were looking at older Raptors for a while, and there's a ton of aftermarket in the first gen type Raptor. The new stuff, the EcoBoost ones, there's also a huge aftermarket world, but I would guess there's more of the three's going to be not good, one of them is going to be great, and then how do you know?
And look, this is the world we're in. I have not done enough digging on high quality winches that go into. I tend to really love some of these interior to the bumper winches more than I like the winches that are on the exterior and kind of bolted on. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm looking at, and I think that would make the Raptor look a lot more sleek because most of the time you're going to go with a more thin aftermarket bumper. If you can find a way to hide that winch, again, I'm not going to shout out any brands because I want people to understand I'm not deep down this rabbit hole yet. Yeah. We're just starting to get into it. And it's not something that I'm into every day of my life. I'm not dragging people out of ditches for a living or anything like that. So, I mean, let's be honest.
Guys, Nick's just over here, save Captain Save-O everywhere. Like,
yeah. And also, not a big ditch city I live in. So, we don't have a lot of, you can't even like dig a hole out here because it's so hard. So it's like, we don't have, it's not a big winch city. So no, I wouldn't act like I even, there's a lot of you out there that are probably pretty expert level with winches. The only thing that I'm kind of getting into, and it's been going on a long time, is I do like a hidden winch a little more than I like just something bolted on the bumper. It kind of seems like an afterthought to me. Okay. Is that you're like, okay, well, boom, let's put this winch, and I'm like, well, I mean,
good job there.
Yeah, so I do like some of the cool stuff where they got the winch like buried deep inside the bumper. I think it looks cool.
All right, well, I got a bit of a palate cleanser here. So Americans aren't the only ones dressing up. We got a Jeep who looks like something else that's being sold as something else. So let me present this to you.
For those not watching on YouTube.
This Jeep-looking SUV is actually a Honda CR-V playing dress-up. Look at that. Yeah, look at that.
What the hell? Expression. Square headlights.
Bro, the whole thing, like this looks exactly like the Jeep my dad's got in the backyard I've been telling you about.
100%.
So 100%. A new body kit from Japan, Japanese tuner DAMD adds a new look to the classic Jeep Cherokee XL with the modern underpinnings.
XJ, yeah.
Oh, my bad, XJ. Jesus Christ. Developing dyslexia more and more on the podcast.
Windows Vista Rob.
Sorry, I had to reboot the brain like old Biden. Look at this. Look at the wheels, look at the tire. That's a cool looking setup of a body kit.
Okay, so here's what kind of creates the problem. So it looks like they did a lot of work on the front end and then just left the rest of the car.
Yeah. So their engineers did the front and then they let their kids do the back end.
Yeah, they were like, you know what, we're kind of done, so I don't want to be on this project anymore. But look, this is kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. I really like it.
I mean,
it's a cheap, they say. It's only $2,000 too. The body kit is only $2,000.
It looks like it's only $2,000.
Wow, no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not,
I'll,
that's
I'll, I'll
rude.
let them know. It looks like it's got $2,000 worth of engineering in it.
That's rude.
But I'll tell you what, anytime you see, so my first Jeep, and I always tell people there's a dividing line. Are you a square headlight Jeep guy or are you a round headlight Jeep guy? And my first Jeep was a square headlight. So I always have an affinity to see those old square
Yeah,
headlights.
dude, same. Every old school Jeeper will say the same thing. I feel like until you
Yeah.
get into people that
What kind
kind
of
of like,
Jeep you have? Square? I'm like,
exactly.
not anymore, dude. I had to get a new one. That thing blew up, 10 years ago. I got to get a new one.
Dude, somebody left us a comment on one of the videos about like they used the quote. I love this quote, Nick. The real car community. So it was about the Toyota stuff, right? And they were like, the real car community has been talking about small pickups since 2010. So sometimes I'll catch something and sometimes I won't
Sure.
because there's so many comments. So I caught this one and I was like, I got time today. I was like, is the real car community in the room with us?
That's pretty funny.
Dude, I'm like, come on.
Yeah, look, is it true everyone has been talking about it? Sure. I mean, I don't think anybody should think we're the first ones to talk about bringing back smaller trucks.
Yeah, what the hell?
I think, though, we have to be clear that most of the people speaking publicly about cars being built always tell you why things can't happen. Oh, well, they are going to have to meet this, or this is going to have to happen. One of the things that we all need to cheer on is just when there seems to be a movement that gains steam, for whatever reason it gains steam. And again, I will say this, I just think so many people have missed the mark on where we're at. And people always say, well, it should be 10 grand, it should be 12 grand. It's like, guys, it costs something to build a car.
Right.
Okay, it costs something to meet regulations and do all of that. So $12,000 isn't going to happen, widespread. But if a Toyota Tacoma or an F-150 is somewhere between $42,000 and $82,000, and they come out with a smaller truck that's $30,000, yeah, man, it's not what we all want, but it's a movement. It's movement in the right direction, right? Do we have to? We're not going to get everything we want. That is not going to happen. We've never said we are. We never said we were the only people talking about this, but we were the only people talking about how Slate seemed to get a lot of people moving around the car business to go, oh, maybe we should think about bringing something else in. I think that's again, I thought it was pretty basic to see, but to this guy and others, let me explain, not everybody sees it that way.
No, they want everything to cost the price of like the bird scooters I see all over Austin.
Yeah, I forgot you're in Austin. Yeah, bird scooters got to be
Those are
everywhere.
absolutely in the ditch everywhere. I'll just drive around like, huh.
That's when you need a winch. Be like, just take your winch out, get like 5 at a time.
Every stop sign has like 3 or 4 bird scooters that are just piled up in the corners. I'm like, this is why we can't have nice things, people.
I'll tell you the craziest thing that's happening. Many of you that live in neighborhoods, I'd say this is a lot in the affluent neighborhoods, but Woodlands is crazy with this. There's going to be kids that die in crosswalks from these scooters. They ride the scooter like it's not just 2 wheels and there's a big car coming.
Yeah, like you don't have to look both ways.
Yeah, so last time I was in the Woodlands, I had a family member that goes, hey, you're going to be driving around the Woodlands. These kids, you got to really keep your head on a swivel till you get outside the Woodlands. And boy, they were right. Yeah. This scooter culture, hey, it looks fun. We used to call them go-peds. So we would take like a weed eater engine, and we would put it on the back of a scooter and you'd build like what we call a go-ped, which would be exactly what you're seeing now. But it would be like a little 2-cycle engine, like that.
I tried looking it up and I got PEDs instead. Never mind.
Go testosterone.
Yeah, exactly. No, actually, I see it here. Okay, I got some. I got you here. They still make them. There's a whole website dedicated to them.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Hey, Hillbillyville was before its time. Trust me.
Dude, you're right. I kind of want one of these now. I mean, if you're going to be on a scooter, you might as well make the noise instead of just whispering by like a vacuum.
And I always tell people who have been listening from the beginning, the guys next door to me at my shop, they're into they sell all this.
You told me
okay?
this.
But they have ones now that go 70 miles an hour.
Oh, no.
Oh, dude, it's nuts.
I want to look at the mail. I don't want to drag race on these things.
Oh, man, I got to tell you, there are going to be so many bodies of kids, just broken arms, broken collarbones. The numbers just got to be staggering.
Pull outside of his shop, let the bodies hit the floor from the outside of his shop. People are just falling. It's like America's Funniest Home Videos.
I mean, people just fall in the parking lot. It's wild. It's a wild scene.
And nobody can wear a helmet these days because it's not cool and kind of
I
gay.
know, and let me tell you, as a guy that knocked himself out on a dirt bike, put your helmet on, folks.
Please put your helmet on, folks.
Yeah.
We got another palate cleanser of sorts. We haven't talked about this in a while, if really at all, but we finally got some official Mustang GTD pricing. Have you seen this, and can you take a
No,
guess
what is
what
it?
it is? Do you want to take a guess?
280.
Ooh, that would have been nice. 325 is where it's going to start. Well, actually, it says
Man.
318, but the one that was posted had the sticker price of 325.
Man, it's so cool that they're building this. I think
It
a
is very
lot of
cool
us
car.
feel this way. But you imagine saying to yourself, I'm going to buy a Mustang for $325,000?
Not in an actual dream or nightmare.
Yeah, I just don't think I could do it. Here's one of the things, again, that you have to applaud companies like Ford that are still chasing this, that essentially they're building something that they know is not going to be a driver of their business, right? Like it in a very different way, we know that the highest level packages on Corvette are going to sell, but they're not going to drive Corvette, right? So you wonder if GTD can have some effect on the downstream of the Mustang, because we know Mustang sales are falling, correct? I mean, they've fallen pretty dramatically.
Tremendously,
So
yeah.
I wonder if what they're thinking, and I'd love to talk to somebody in that building. I wonder if what they're thinking in a real honest way is like, hey, we need to build something cool. We need to bring, we need to bring the heat here to kind of have a halo over Mustang and maybe like head towards the next real big generation push that they're going to make on the Mustang sports car. I would guess that we're going to see a lot of the stuff from GTD start to come down into the regular cars that
Yeah.
everybody buys. And I think that could be a huge positive to kind of reignite the excitement. But if for me, I think the only real excitement I could have around a Mustang is they got to bring more manuals
Yeah,
into like
dude.
the higher powered stuff that everyone buys.
So, yes, real quick, the top of this is going to be around the Carbon series, which is going to start at 428.
Damn. I mean, you got to really be into driving on the track, huh?
Oh, 100%. That's it, right? It says with the spirit of America costing $1,000 more than that, so 429, I guess, is where you're going to start for the upper echelon Carbon series. What a great
Dude,
name, too.
I look, I'm a big fan of these cars being built. Any brand doing something like this, like you and I are like, hell yeah, let's build it.
Hell yeah, brother.
The big thing for Mustang is what is going to leak down into the rest of Mustang to
So,
kind of drive it forward.
yes, to drive your point home, as I read these and see these videos and articles or whatever, I hope that, like you said, the GTD stuff comes down, and then we can kind of like start from scratch with the new lineage of cars, meaning like the GTD stuff comes down to a bare bones Terminator, bring back a Terminator,
Oh, good call.
manual Terminator style, and then rebuild back up all of these cars that have been out for 20-ish years now with the GTD type of technology that's in these cars.
Yeah, it feels like they're ripe for a complete redesign.
Yeah.
I think Mustang is really ripe for, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's see where we're at in the car culture now. What do we want to be this? Because we had a lot of people that rightfully said Mustang was built for a different era that maybe probably doesn't exist anymore in a lot of brands. So now how do we make this more appealing to the people we want to buy it, maybe stabilize our sales numbers a bit? They're just ripe for a complete redesign and rethought of the Mustang as a sports car. And I get we're going to get a lot of people to go, oh, it's a pony car. It's not a sports car. I got you. But that segment is kind of going away, or everyone's kind of moving in a new direction. I think it'd be really cool if the GTD is like their stamp of, here comes the next real generation and what we think Mustang should be moving forward.
Yeah, and as you're talking, I'm trying to find. So there's a couple places out here in Texas, but that have just kind of specialty I say specialty, but cars that you won't find just about anywhere else. And I got an email this morning for a white 1990 Fox body. I love the 90, 91, 92. Like I love
Sure.
those particular Fox bodies. And what I was gonna say too is like making the car smaller. Can we go back to like it doesn't have to maybe
Well,
be a Fox
you're dreaming here, bud.
I know, but I'm
Let me
just
stop
saying.
everybody.
Oh
All
god.
you enthusiasts that talk about things need to be made smaller, that ain't happening. It's
6 whatever today is 14.
yeah. It's not happening. Like their whole push as brands are bigger, better, faster, those types of things. And I just think when I look at Mustang, it's not a complete rethought. I think people will take that the wrong way, but they need to reimagine what the next decade to 20 years can look like in Mustang and what is going to be its place in this sports car culture, which seems to be shrinking. Let's be very fair. It's shrinking for all brands. They're struggling to sell, two-door sports cars. GTD, let's hope, is a mark in time that now we have a reimagined Mustang, because I think when Mustang's good, it's a lot of fun, but you got to want to buy it. And I think that's what they're struggling with now is a lot of people like myself and you and many others are like, why would I buy a Mustang? I'm not into it. This isn't the right design. It doesn't feel right for the culture in the moment. So I hope they get really smart about Mustang off the GTD stuff.
All right, I got one out of left field for you here. We were talking about Stellantis and all those brands. So Alfa Romeo and Maserati will work together to survive. Did you know this?
Oh, great. I mean, two brands two brands that make exactly one car you'd want to buy.
And you're looking at it right here, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, MC20, right? I mean, Maserati. Yeah. I mean, that'd be. Look, these are two brands that have struggled. They've struggled for one simple reason. Maserati for really a long time just has not taken quality seriously. Mm-hmm. I think most of the time they have well-designed stuff, especially their two-door stuff is pretty damn well designed. How about you just make a car that works consistently, that doesn't have all these cheap interior parts, that doesn't have like this, we just threw this together on a Wednesday and didn't really think it through all the way. Alfa Romeo is one of those things. I mean, we know that the Giulia was a great thing to reintroduce to the American market. Mm. They were absolutely snake bitten by the fact that you were always in the shop.
Yeah.
So if you want a surefire way to be reintroduced to the American market and fail, is cool design. I drive it for a week and it's back in the shop. Okay, you're gonna fail. Point blank, period, end of story, you're going to fail. And that's what they did. I had a lot of people I know that bought them because they were enthusiasts, and they're like, this is one of the great cars, and it handles well, and it's cool, and the design's great. Those people bought exactly one of them. They didn't buy a second one, and you can't win if people don't come back and buy. And people aren't going to come back and buy if the car doesn't work. And there you go. There's Alfa and Maserati in a nutshell. I think Maserati has a different story. They would build cars and then it would feel cheap when you were driving it around. You'd be like
first-gen Tesla. Yeah,
you're like, what did you guys do here? And that's why I said they thought of stuff on a Wednesday and just put it in production. They're like, yeah, fuck it, who cares? I mean, I feel like that's been Maserati's story for a long time. And again, there's some Maserati sports cars, when you start them up, you're like, yeah, this is what I want. Then you get in it, then you drive it, then you hear the rattling, and you're like, oh, God, here we go again.
This is from today. Stellantis needs to take urgent action to revive Maserati sales after they plummeted by 57% last year, dropping.
By the way, I think that's a steal that they only plummeted 57%.
Dude, that means only 11,000 cars were sold.
Yeah, I don't have anybody. I would say probably early in my career, Maserati was looked at a lot more favorably. You look at the last 10 to 15 years, I don't have anybody that's even interested in talking about them. And I think probably a lot of you out there feel the same way, just as a pure interest thing. Mm-hmm. I think they need to be completely sold off, which I think is where this will probably end up if Stellantis keeps going the route that it's going. It's going to have to liquidate some of these things.
Well, it's funny because they touch on that. They said that the plan's essentially drafted up. It just needs approval from the new boss at Stellantis.
Is to what? Liquidate?
No. It's to join the forces.
Okay, but they're only joining forces to do a sale. So they're gonna combine. It'd be my guess. Mm-hmm. They're gonna combine these two companies. Yeah. They're gonna reduce the debt. They're gonna reduce the footprint. They're gonna reduce the amount of workers they have. They're gonna reduce all these things and probably prop it up for a sale. I would imagine this probably happens pretty quick. Let's call it 12 to 24 months. They do this kind of joining, quote unquote, of forces. A lot of time is just a package, a deal for somebody to come in and buy both brands at once.
It's really interesting because as I continue to read here, a merger appears to be off the table as the CEO previously stated that the brands occupy different positions within Stellantis. Alfa is premium, Maserati luxury. Even so, the two companies are
No,
expected to
that's
consolidate
what
efforts.
that right there. Wrong.
Dude, I know, wrong.
Wrong.
Okay, so watch. Even so, the two companies are expected to consolidate efforts in other areas to reduce costs by finding synergies where is possible.
In code, we need to sell these two brands.
Yes.
So
We gotta
yeah,
sell them
we need to
fast.
package these things. We need to package this crap together. It's like
Yeah.
selling bad loans. I need to get all these bad loans together and then have one little tranche of good loans on top, and then I need to sell it to
Everybody
some
watch The
unknowing
Big
buyer.
Short. Watch The Big Short after you listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
Know exactly what we're talking about. Dang. Well, good luck to you, Alfa Romeo and Maserati. You were not really missed.
No, you guys have not been relevant in a very long time.
2025 Ford F-150 Lobo is the street truck we've been waiting for. I didn't know they were making a Lobo version of the F-150. I thought it was just for Maverick, but I had the Maverick one sent to me a couple of times. I was unimpressed when I first read about it months ago, and now some of the bigger car influencers are doing videos about it, and I just don't care for it. I don't know what
You got it. You got to. You got to. Let me see it. You got it.
I actually
Pulled
don't
up.
have the. I'm gonna bring up the Maverick. I have the F-150 pulled up here, which the stats for this are actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
if you like.
let's do the F-150.
Yeah. So this is the F-150. It's going to be so it's going to start at $59,000 for a lowered F-150 with 400 horsepower, which sounds like just about every other F-150.
I tell you what, they can make a picture look good though, can't they?
They sure can. Do you like black wheels? You do, right? You like the whole black on black? Yeah.
If it works, yeah. I mean, they can be overdone, but when they're done right, they look great.
It's here. Perfect. Here's the Lobo, the Maverick. I hate the grill and I hate the wheels.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is there's just not a big enough footprint to do it, and it kind of has that weird back end to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they could definitely do better for sure. But I'll say this, for all of us out here, it's still the fact of you're going to do this F-150. I get you got to make your money, but how many of us are paying $59,000 for it? It just doesn't. That's where we seem to keep falling with all of these special editions, whether it's from Ford or Chevy or whatever. Raptor, it makes some sense. Okay, that's why it's been such a winning formula for Ford. Then they don't take that formula and say, okay, how do we take this base formula, put it other places with different packages, and price those appropriately? So if I'm at $60,000 for that, why am I just not buying a Raptor?
Yeah. So what's funny too, and kind of annoys me, I mean, if you like these kind of sport trucks growing up, so Ford's full-size pickup truck offers multiple off-road variants. Like the Tremor's a nice truck. The Tremor's a great package, and the Raptor. However, the F-150 lacked a model that prioritizes performance on the street. Enter the 25 F-150 Lobo, which is essentially the spiritual successor of the SVT Lightning of the 90s. That right there makes me want to hate the brand for you.
Yeah, that's not true at all.
That's so dumb.
That's not. By the way, you guys botched Lightning. If you wanted to rebuild a new Lightning, you should have rebuilt the new Lightning. Instead, by the way, I had a guy behind me, I don't know, it's like 2 or 3 days ago, like laying on his horn at everybody in a Ford Lightning. Don't think you can do that. You're driving a Ford Lightning, bud. Your horn privileges, you can't have them. Now, horn privileges because you're about to hit somebody, I understand. Horn privileges out of anger, we should have been honking our horn at you. Okay? That's what we should have been doing. You bought a Ford Lightning, dude. And again, for anybody that was there and many that weren't that got into them, the old Ford Lightning was special to me because I had somebody who lived on my street who had one in his garage. Mm-hmm. And, the curved body, the Paul Walker Ford Lightning. Yeah. I was like, that was something. Right. And it's still something when I see them come up for sale. I'm like, damn, this thing is, I wish I could get one of these right now. But again, this Lobo seems to be the conversation we always have on this podcast is it feels like, how do you get this to sub 50, not how do you approach 60?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and if I could reach over to my Hot Wheels, I have a couple of Paul Walker SVT.
There you go.
Dude, I love that truck and those little Hot Wheels. When I found them, I forgot where I found them. I was like, oh, I'm buying all of them. There's 5 of them left. I bought 5 of them.
You're like the dude buying all the flip phones that remain on eBay.
1000%. Which, by the way, the iPhone, Apple, I think, just canceled the iPhone that had the button on it, which my parents still use. And my dad was like, oh, shit, I can't break this one because there's no more of the one with the button on it.
Well, I won't tell anybody who this was, but I had a client that literally bought all the flip phones left on eBay because he's got a lot of money, and he's like, well, you just never know when you might need one. I'm like, what?
That's a great. I know who you're talking about, and he's absolutely right. And you should absolutely get one. I don't care if it's pink, if it's a pink Razor, or if it's a fucking Nokia.
Yeah.
You should
So, dude,
buy one.
it's a wild thing, but I think this is where we get with these types of special packages. If I'm approaching 60 in the Ford brand, I'm just going to go get lightly used Raptor, splurge and get a new Raptor. Hey, have you seen they dropped the Ford Bronco Raptor 10 grand
I have it. It's actually next.
MSRP.
Yes, before I get to that, my last thought on this is that if this isn't from Car and Driver and Ford actually said it's anything close to a Lightning from the 90s, I am officially no longer looking at Coyote trucks. I'm going to get a Ram with a Hemi in it just because of the ad that it put out last week.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but it seems like, and I know a lot of guys feel this way, I don't think companies are $20,000 and $30,000 off. Okay, that's like the unreasonable people on the internet. They're like, hey, everything should cost 12 grand. That's not reasonable. It does feel like there are a lot of brands that are just 10 grand off.
Okay, perfect way to segue into this. God, are you a professional? Did you go to school?
I didn't even know you had this on here, but when I saw it, I go, yep, that's what I thought.
Oh, fantastic. 2025 Ford Bronco prices adjusted. Raptor base price drops by 10 grand. So while everything else is going up in price, the way you said last week, Toyota, right? Meanwhile, everything's going up. We've been thinking about this cheap truck for years. This is the only one, to my knowledge, that has received a steep discount from MSRP price. So your thoughts?
Look, they are absolutely piling up nationwide, probably worldwide to whoever has them.
Yep.
And the reason is the pricing was off. For what you get, for the type of buyer, especially the Bronco Jeep type of buyer, they're not going to pay that money. And you're really not going to get a ton of crossover of people that are going to be thrilled with that experience, as we've kind of shared through my client base. Okay, here's the men and women with the money. They're going to give it a try, but they're just going to give it back to you in a certain period of time. They're not really Bronco people. Yep. So in the Bronco crowd, Bronco Raptor felt mispriced, which I think we said probably on one of our first episodes ever. It's felt mispriced from the beginning. And that's what you're going to find with the Lobo, and that's what you're going to find with a lot of things and a lot of different brands. When they sit around, again, let's go back to the G-Wagon EV. If it's priced differently, does it sell? Now, if the whole argument is, well, they can't make money if they drop the price a bunch, I understand. Well, that means you probably shouldn't build it to that level because it can't sell at that level. Right. Bronco Raptor, cool experience, cool looks mean. When it's driving around, it accomplishes all the things you want it to accomplish. But if you're priced wrong, that really doesn't matter. It just doesn't. And that's where Lobo's going to find itself, right? I mean, we'd have to say the same thing there. Lobo's going to find itself that it's about 10 grand off on the pricing. And I think that's what we see. Tacoma being $73,000 for a package. If that package was 63, that guy on the lot probably feels a lot differently if that's the pricing. And I think just that's what it feels like as we sit here today, June of 2025. There are a lot of cars, a lot of trucks, a lot of things that feel just about 10 grand off.
What's funny is that they're doing it halfway through the year on the 25s, right? So that tells me they should have started the year probably just knocking 20 off of it from the jump and do another 10 mid-year. But at this route, they'll probably do another 10 in 6 months or in mid.
Well, I think what will happen is you'll just go into the dealership, and if you're interested, you'll get what you want. Now, you're not going to get it for 12 grand. Okay, let's be clear. Yeah. But I think you could probably get a lot of incentives, and a lot of things will be 0% financing through Ford Financial, and all this stuff will kind of come around. And it's kind of unfortunate because I don't think this should be Bronco Raptor's cross to bear, right? Like, I don't think they did anything wrong with the vehicle. I wouldn't sit here and say they messed this up, this up, this up, this up. They simply messed up the pricing. And that shows you how important that initial pricing is when you're launching something like this, which is why I think Ford Raptor's always done well. This is why Dodge TRX struggled. It was just way too expensive. I get people bought them. I'm not saying they weren't purchased, but the reason it wasn't a driver like Raptor is because they're like, this is the Raptor killer. Well, bud, you now have priced it where people that buy Raptors for, $79,000, they can't afford a TRX. So you're not really going to kill the Raptor. You got to kill the Raptor by building a slightly better truck for around the same price.
Right. Today's episode has been such hot yoga fire flame that we're already at an hour, but we want to get through a couple of questions here. You got some time, Nick?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to go through a couple of them. So I'm going to say right now, Todd and probably Nathan and Daniel. We'll get to yours next week. We're going to go through some of the shorter ones, and that way we give you, the dedicated time to those questions. But TW writes, interesting input on the Supra this week. My guess is that the BMW wouldn't let them go any further in horsepower as it would be using the S58 instead of the B58, therefore protecting the true M cars. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some truth to that, but this tells you why that was a stupid idea from the beginning. You shouldn't have been partnered with BMW. I mean, you shouldn't have. You should have taken this seriously, and they didn't, and it cost them with basically having to cancel it.
He said, that said, your limitations regarding the Supra are why I threw the BMW 240i out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's the same engine with the back seats and X-Drive. If desired, it's slightly faster, 0 to 60 than the Supra, even the M2 0 to 60. Anyway, it just depends on what you need and what you want. Love the pod. Keep it up.
100%. Like I said, we said it at the time. If that meets all your needs and you're getting it, exactly where you want it price-wise, it's a no-brainer.
JV writes, Justin Verlander, are you listening to the podcast? What's up, JV?
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
JV, we're really just kind of interested. Is your wife around?
That's right. I saw her in Houston when they were playing here. Just saying, hey.
Hey. How are you doing?
How you doing?
Oh, because let me tell you, if those two walk in a room, I'm not interested in talking to Justin Verlander. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, you watch your dirty mouth.
I know.
Hello, guys. JV writes, I'm wondering if this whole, quote, barn find thing has run its course. I thought this
Boy, oh boy.
I watched a guy pull a 1962 four-door Falcon out of an old shed, and you'd think he just found a long-lost Ferrari 250 GTO or something. What do you think, Nick?
I hate barn finds.
Didn't Leno just do a barn find thing the other day?
But I think it was a Gullwing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Gullwing, right?
Yeah, I think it's like a $12 million car or something like that. Like
wild.
Those types of barn finds I'm real into.
Sure, but back to JB's question here about the 62 four-door Falcon.
So in my world, a lot of people get a lot of views of cleaning really dirty barn finds from the past.
Right.
I think my neck of the woods is probably really responsible for the barn find millions upon billions of views. I think it's horrific. I don't enjoy it, but I want to be clear. I've spent my whole life making cars look good. So when I see something completely neglected, it kind of hurts my soul a little bit. So I know that I'm not the crowd for that. Now, cool barn finds, that we see on things like Low Miles, No Miles, or come up for sale on Bring a Trailer. Yeah, man, there's interest in that. You see a 1990s BMW that's not that special, and they brought it back to life. There is some stuff, but when you act like, to this emailer's point, I think it's a great way of putting it. Not every barn find is worth this dramatic thing. Just say, hey, I like the car. We want to save it. That's what we're going to do. I think that's good enough. When you take it to the level he's talking about, agree 100%. It's not true, so it feels fake because it is fake. And one of the things we probably haven't said enough on this that I want to kind of say here, because we do talk about it other places, the internet is a television show.
Right.
And I think we've gone a little too far on the television side. There's a lot of acting and playing up and look how special this is, and look, the watch community goes through this, the car community goes through this. You probably have interest, Rob. Look, we see this sometimes with combat sports. Oh, yeah. People just playing to telling you these are great fights that are being made when they aren't. It's all a television show now, and I don't like that. Yeah. I still kind of like the guy. Is his name Stanceworks? I want to make sure I get this right.
I think that's the page.
That's rebuilding the F40?
I think so.
Okay. Guys got to realize something. Even though you think he has a large following, everybody around that guy is like, hey, you're not doing enough projects. This isn't going to work. This guy actually had to tell them, I don't care. I'm going to do it my way. You don't realize how rare that is. And it's the same thing we're going through. There's a lot of things we could do that would be television and acting, and our views would go up and all this stuff. But I think that stuff's corny. And I think these barn finds fall into that. They fall into this Falcon is not special. Like, if it's special to you, man, sell that part of it, but don't tell me you got some amazing barn find here.
How much longer does my 92 Jeep need to be in my dad's barn in order for it to be a cool barn find? Can I just do it this week?
Hey, we can cross a couple things off. Grab a winch,
Okay. Oh,
pull it out. Okay, we can get into winch testing right away.
Okay.
Pull it out. Be like, oh my God, can you believe what we found? But I do want to say to people, those men and women who are doing this stuff, they're doing it because the algorithm promotes them to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of corny when I can tell you're doing it for the algorithm. It doesn't speak to me. That's why I like certain individuals, and you and I have had conversations about some people recently where I'm like, I don't like where this is headed.
Yeah.
I don't like where this is headed.
By the way, my winch is going to be a come-along tied to a tractor. Tractor out like
you'd be like, this is the old school winch.
That's the only winch you need, brother. All right.
Yeah, get you a ratchet strap.
Yeah, get the ratchet, get the come-along, get the tractor. We're going to pull this bitch out.
Yeah, no, but I think this guy, I mean, not to belabor it, but I think this guy has a real point. Like, this stuff, and I think a lot of you listening to this are starting to buck against this stuff. So I think you're going to see the next 5 years in content creation probably look a lot different than what people think today, because you have so many people doubling and tripling down on this like dramatic TV show type of stuff. And I think a lot of us that are real like just into seeing the cars, I actually think this is why Jay Leno's garage works, not only because he's so famous, but I don't think any of his stuff is that manufactured.
Yeah.
Like, I just saw, did you see he did an interview on Donnie Calloway?
I saw the thumbnail, or I saw I didn't actually.
So for everybody that's not in that world, there's a guy who may or may not have been the, I want to be careful here legally.
Yeah.
The may or may not have been above board in the Ferrari fixing of Ferraris out in California. And even during that, you could tell Jay Leno was being Jay Leno, because he started to talk about, he goes, first of all, when I met him, something was off, didn't know, but didn't sit right with me. I know the people that can work on these cars. He didn't seem like one of them. He didn't seem like somebody I could trust. And if people do see that video, I want you to really, really hone in on what Jay Leno is saying. It's really expensive to fix cars properly.
Yeah.
Many of us need to hear that more and more today than ever before. To do things right costs a lot of money, and that just is what it is. And this barn find thing, I think, creates a culture of not doing things the proper way. And so that's why it doesn't sit right with me. And it's just a television show thing that I don't like.
Gotcha. No, yeah, I totally agree. A lot of it is, it seems kind of very disingenuous, which, I mean, that goes all across the entire internet these days.
Yeah, that's not just car world. I mean, people they're like, in the car world, it's like, guys, this is everywhere.
Everywhere. Well, as we land the plane this week, it's a good way to tie in Jeep, restoring, fixing things. Nick's doing a series on restoring trim on a Jeep, funny enough, for one of your clients in your shop. It's on the HyperClean Store channel, cleaning it. It was funny. Somebody just put like a high heat blowtorch or something like that instead of like the actual process you're going through. I'm like,
don't use heat on your trim, folks. Don't put a torch on your trim, because that will be torched. It's over.
Yeah.
You're not able to fix it.
So HyperClean Store channel to go watch the way that Nick cleaned it, re-dyed it, coated it, the whole thing. It's really cool. And yeah, man, I think that's all I got for you this week.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.